Biggest Loser Netflix special. I think it's called Fit for Television. I watched that. It was a 3-part documentary. And the ads sort of looked like they were going to be an expose about how Biggest Loser was really bad. I can't remember how many seasons there were, like 8 or 9 maybe. I know there were like 8. And with those seasons, sometimes they like go back to back within a year. So I don't know how many years it was on. It started in like 2003. And let's see. It sort of talked about how it came along and people weren't sure what to make of it. Then it became this runaway success. Then there was this controversy as it got bigger and expanded into like, there were like franchises around the world, different versions of Biggest Loser around the world. And how there were accusations of people working out too much and being starved, of having too few calories, and the trainers being at odds with the doctors, and it not being healthy, and people gaining it back, and so this explored all of that. My takeaway was kind of similar to, I remember watching the show when it was on, which is the contestants themselves, and I don't want to put them down too much, but the huge amount of weight, these people who are like 100, 200 pounds overweight. I feel like people I know, fact of life in America is you get 10 or 20 pounds overweight and you're like, gosh, I really got to lose weight, I need to lose 20 pounds. I need to lose 25 pounds. And you think about the beer you're drinking and whatnot, but you're not eating terribly and you're exercising. But, like I say, a fact of life in America is that you could be putting on weight. So it seems to me that these people, for whatever reason, they just give up. Like their tolerance level for how out of shape they get is much higher. And so some of the kind of the controversies where they were playing the dramatic music, like one part was when Bob Harper yelled at this woman when she like wouldn't run on the treadmill for 20 seconds or whatever, 30 seconds, and she was like, I can't do it. And she was going to get, like she always would give up at 26 seconds or something. And he's just like, starts yelling at her. And he didn't normally do that. And the producers liked it because he didn't usually lose his cool like that. But he just could not tolerate how much she talked and made excuses and whatnot. And so in that case, she was like, F him, F Bob Harper. And I've never been so humiliated. But I'm like, it's humiliating to be on this show with all of these, people, millions of people watching you get into your workout clothes and, bearing a lot of skin. That's humiliating. And a trainer yelling at you because you can't run 30 seconds on a treadmill I don't think that's too humiliating, and a number of things, and there was like, one of them, I think it was the same woman, went to the newspapers afterwards and was like, yeah, someone gave me a caffeine pill, and the doctor had said caffeine pills were against the rules, and it was like, I don't know, to me, the headline was Biggest Loser trainers drugged me, and it just doesn't seem like that was an issue to me, that big of an issue. The other part was, how healthy is it for these people who are way out of shape to start training like Olympic athletes? That's a good question. I know that for me, and I did this recently, if I started biking 50 miles a week, 5 miles to work, 5 miles home, I did it 5 days a week, biking 10 miles a day, 5 days a week, I just start doing it one day. Well, after like a month and a half or 2 months, your body gets sore. My arms were really sore. My hands felt numbness. It was like it was too much, and I wasn't doing the proper form. Or people who want to run a marathon and they hurt their ankles or their knees or their back or whatever. So there are those issues about like, my back has hurt since I did that, but you know, they were saying, did this wreck the metabolism? But the thing is, I think that these people, their metabolism was pretty messed up in the first place to be able to get that large, you know? So again, I don't think it's the fault of The Biggest Loser. Now the other one was, are you just having people do these like temptation challenges and chase after donuts and whatever to make fun of heavy people, obese people? And that's maybe a valid criticism. These people, the producers, didn't seem like, they seem like fast-talking cosmopolitan, not fast-talking big city, like, we're going to produce a show that's, like, going to make us millions of dollars. And they seem more like that. So I would say, it's television. And so they're not doing it. They're doing it for ratings. They're doing it for money, and they're doing it to keep people tuned in. So drama is good, So maybe that's a valid criticism, that these people were in some ways manipulated or, used for the wrong reasons, But I feel like getting the opportunity to win $250,000 and maybe lose a bunch of weight, which is on all of those people's lists that are 100 pounds overweight, is like an amazing opportunity. And the humiliation, I mean, when you sign up, like, you're going to be training and in front of, and suffering all this stuff that's hard to do in front of a camera, it's kind of like signing up for any reality TV show. So those are my thoughts. I talked about a few different things, but I watched the Biggest Loser Netflix documentary, and I think it's called Fit for Television, and those are my takeaways.